Have you thought about moving someplace warm when it's time for you to retire? What about moving to Arizona? Well, I'm David Day with My Retirement Quest, and I want you to have a happy, healthy, and fulfilling retirement. And if this is something that interests you, like and subscribe. But I have a very special guest for you today. Her name is Jane, and she's a friend of mine who has made the decision to move to Arizona. So this is Jane and her husband George have really modeled for me what the concept and the idea of retirement really should be or could be if you're thinking about moving someplace warm. And so, Jane, when you first started to think about going to Arizona, did you buy the house right then, or did you end up doing something as a transition before that?
Well, actually, we rented for 5 years, but we went to Yuma first because my husband has family in Yuma, and we didn't like that. And then we went to
Yuma.
Scottsdale. Okay. Yeah, we did that for a couple of winters, just for 6 weeks or a month.
Okay.
And then we went to Scottsdale. We love Scottsdale.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we love that.
So you rented someplace there as well for that period of time.
We did that just 1 year, I think, and then my husband found a house to rent in the community that we bought in.
Okay, so then you started renting that, and you did that for several years.
We did that for about 3 years, I guess.
For about 3 years. And then when you decided to buy, so that would have been in the 2007, 2008, 2009, that time frame. Is that about when you were thinking
the first house we bought in 2010.
Okay. And how many square feet was that house? Was that
that was 1,800 square feet.
That's actually
a two-car garage and not on the golf course.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, and as I understand it, you then would rent that house for the peak couple of months of the year, and you did fairly well because that was when it was most attractive to people, right? You could get the maximum amount of money for that time frame, and then you would then go to this house a couple times a year. Then is that correct?
Right. And we would go 6 weeks in the fall and about 2 months in the spring.
Okay. Excellent. And you did that then for several years.
Yep.
When did you decide? Because it sounds like this is the one that you're sitting in right now is the second house that you bought.
Yeah, we just bought it last November.
Last November. And is it bigger than the one your first house?
It is. This one's 2,500 square feet and a 3-car garage, and it's on the golf course.
Wow. And the reason that you wanted it to be on the golf course was, do you have a golf membership included, or is that something that?
Oh, no, you buy that separately. I personally wanted to be on the golf course for the view. Okay. George did not really care, but I wanted to be on the golf course.
So George didn't care so much about being on the golf course?
No, he didn't really. Well, even in the other house, we had access to all the golf course, everything, just like if you live on the golf course. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You buy into the golf course separately.
Okay, so you don't have to be on the golf course. You could actually be in a community in the neighborhood or something like that, and still buy a membership into the golf course and have access then.
True. Yeah, you have to live in the neighborhood in order to golf on the golf course. It's a private golf course. So.
Wow. So the decision then to buy the bigger house, was it because largely you wanted a little bit bigger house, a nicer view, that sort of thing, and you had been there long enough. Now, by this point in time, I mean, you started just going down a month or two, that sort of thing at a time. Now you're spending more time down there, aren't you?
Yeah, we're spending a full 6 months now, except that we go home for Christmas.
Okay, so you start going down like somewhere around October, November.
Yeah, middle of October.
Middle of October, and then you will fly back to Portland at Christmas time. Typically, obviously, This year was a little different, but typically you'll come and spend several weeks here, and you maintain your house both in Portland and in Arizona.
Yep.
So, and you've got your cars in Portland as well, so that when you fly into Portland, you're able then to do your family gatherings, see the grandkids, and do all that sort of stuff. Then you fly back to Arizona, and you've got your cars and all that sort of stuff, and it's fun. You've got 2 cars in Arizona, which is something that I find really interesting. Plus
2 cars and a golf cart.
Now, can you get in if you're going to go golfing? Do you ride the golf cart from your house to the golf cart?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we live not even probably a quarter mile from the golf, from the pro shop, I should say.
Wow. So really, I know when you first started, you basically rented a house in Arizona, and you did that for several years, right?
Yeah.
And then you bought the first house, and you had that for many years too, right? I mean, that was probably 6 or 7 years, something like that.
Well, the first house we had for well, 10 years, I
10
guess,
years.
because we
Yeah.
bought in 2020, last November,
Yeah, so
right?
it's
So
about 2010 to 2020. And during that period of time, I know George wanted you to spend more and more time down there, right?
yeah,
It seemed to
well, he
me
wasn't
like
pushing it so much, but I know he would have liked to. And
and
once the grandkids got into school and got busy with sports, we didn't see them as much except for going to their games, and so we
so
decided to try it here for 6 months.
right. So that kind of helped your heart, right? Because that was really
Oh yeah,
the big thing for you was the
yes.
grandkids. You didn't want to kind of abandon them. So does it do the has your relationship with the grandkids been okay? I mean, has it been okay being gone this long period of
Oh
time?
yeah, because we talk on the phone and we Skype a lot. I got to say, COVID's been harder
Yeah.
on the relationship because I haven't, we when we were in Portland, we get together and have dinner outside with masks
Right.
on,
Right.
and so, but we still are really close. But they're becoming teenagers now, and their
Yeah.
friends are much more important than their grandparents. So,
Right. That's always interesting. And then your kids, now you've got two, well, they're all obviously grown, but
yeah.
do they come down and visit with you much, or do you find that it's easy for you to go to their house or something?
Oh well, when we're in Portland, we go. Usually, they come to our house. Usually, when we're in
Okay.
Portland, and my daughter and her family come down once a year for sure.
Okay.
But nobody's been here now because of COVID. But
Right.
my son, they've been down here a few times, but they're not as regular because my son and his wife don't really appreciate spending their vacation in a retirement community. Or my daughter loves to come here and just relax and chill. But there's lots to do in Phoenix. I mean, they can still do it.
Right.
My granddaughter comes here once in a while for a soccer tournament.
Yeah.
So they've done that too. A couple of years ago, and it was terrible weather here. It was like January, and it had ice and snow and everything else.
I remember I went to a seminar in Arizona once, and the guy I should have had a warning when I went to rent the car. And he says, "Would you like a convertible? $5 more?" And I say, "Absolutely." I had not checked the weather. We got
Oh,
snow.
that's so funny. And
So
you don't
yeah,
see snow. Well, we didn't see snow here, but up in the hills in Scottsdale is where they got snow. And my granddaughter flew in on Saturday, and she couldn't play soccer until the following Thursday.
oh my word!
That was
Wow,
really something.
wow. So would you say that this has been something that you would recommend? Does that whole process of what you guys did, does that seem like a pretty reasonable thing to you in terms of recommending it to other people?
Oh, I think so, and I know there is a certain cost to maintaining two homes and
Right.
paying taxes on two homes and all. But when you consider, like George and I really don't travel too much anymore because when we come to Arizona, we want to be in Arizona. And when we are in Oregon, we want to be in Oregon. So we'll probably take a trip with the kids once a year. But, we traveled a lot before we bought the house. And so we
Okay.
kind of, I don't know, we'll take some more trips once COVID is over. But
Right.
we really like being here when we're here.
That's, isn't that wonderful that it kind of feels real settling to you, and you're kind of in the place that you want to be, and you've created kind of a life there as well, rich and full of, and has it been easy to make friends, or is it?
Oh, it's very easy if you live in a Gulf community. You
Okay.
just well, I guess almost all of our friends here we joined a couples golf league, and then
Oh,
after you golf on Friday afternoons, you go into the clubhouse for dinner, and so we just made friends that way. And we have a big group of like 14 people that we don't anymore because of COVID, but we
right.
will.
Yeah.
Well, 14 of us would meet for dinner every Friday night in the clubhouse, and then some of us joined little golf groups during the
Okay.
week. And yeah, it's been a lot easier. And then with bluegrass, it's real easy to make
Right.
friends too.
Right. Well, that is so exciting. Well, Jane, thank you so much, and make sure you tell George hi from me. I
Yeah, we
really
will.
appreciate this, and I hope for those of you who are watching this, if you have any other questions, just put them in the comments below, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. And Jane, thank you so much. Have a wonderful time there in Arizona.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye now.